Yeah, welcome to the Weege Show. Back at my house. Only exciting news here is that I recently got a nice low fixed rate 15-year refinance. That's exciting news to me. I mean, look, the days between Supercrosses are not cool. I mean, it's Monday. Like, what's going to pump you up? You were at an exciting Supercross race in Indianapolis. That's what you do. You fly home Sunday. You try to drag yourself through the day Monday. There's a Supercross race? There's a Supercross race on Tuesday. We've got to preview it. And I am giving you a awesome title, so I know you already clicked on it, because this says close finishes and crashes. That is YouTube clickbait. It's all brought to you by the Honda Talon. If the clickbait title isn't enough to get you excited, if Tuesday Supercross isn't enough to get you going, you can always get yourself a Honda Talon Sport side-by-side. Life's better side-by-side. You can get the R model with 20 inches of suspension travel. You could probably go out to that King of the Hammers event right now and be crowned king. Like in a stock Talon, you can probably do some amazing things. You got the X model, so you can slice through the narrow trails closer to me here in Eastern. I'll take either one. Honda, I'll give you my address. I'd love to do some field testing. Okay, so there is a lot of excitement right now, although I have to say I've been putting a bit of a damper on it. I don't want to say I told you so, but I had a fear all along that Ken Roczen, Eli Tomac, and Cooper Webb might take control of this Monster Energy Supercross Championship. I have simple data that I've used in the last two post shows for this series, and that is after Justin Barcia won the opener last year, those three riders combined to win every race for the rest of the season, except for the finale, and the final race is always weird. So I know there are other riders in this field that are capable, but until they prove themselves, you have to give the nod to these three. And they are once again top three in points. They've won the last three races, and they were 1, 2, 3 at the race on Saturday. But I've said that enough, and I've bummed you out enough. I know we want hashtag Deep Field to remain. So I am going to give you some good news, courtesy of this short clip that the folks from Feld allowed me to use for the show. This is Cooper Webb going across the finish, and there are only 12 seconds at the line between Webb in third and Marvin Musquin in 10th. That is close racing. People often overanalyze the practice times, and they'll say things like, hey man, there's 10 guys within a second of each other. It's so close. Dude, that's one lap. If you're a second apart for one lap, and we're doing 28 lap main events, that's a 28-second gap. That's not close at all. I go to most of the races in person, and what you don't often see on TV is the gaps once the third or fourth place guy goes across the line and how close they are. They're usually not very close, especially on a difficult track like we saw Saturday night at Indy, which breeds mistakes and usually separates the pack even more. In fact, tracks like that, the riders are usually just trying to survive and get through it, and they're not even worried about trying to catch the rider in front of them or defend from the rider behind them. But no, we had a thick pack and great racing, and it only goes back to Musquin. And there are others who could be in it, because Justin Barcia and Malcolm Stewart were down early, and Barcia crashed again. They were even further back. Justin Brayton was in that close pack. He went down in the finish line area. He did look good, though. So there are more riders that could even be in that mix, and they're not that far off. Tomac and Roczen had checked out. We'll just ignore that part. The point is, this field is very close, and I feel if you're within 10 seconds of the podium at the end of the race, well, obviously, you could get a podium at any time. I mean, we're talking like a fraction of a percentage of the entire race that you need to make up in speed. And that's just one mistake here or there, or one bad start, or catching a lapper at the right place at the right time to make up 10 seconds over the course of 20 minutes. So why doesn't it happen more? Time for a theory. I'm going to have a few of them on this show. You probably won't agree with any of them, but that's what it's all about when you have theories, especially with the internet video. Look, if you're Marvin Musquin in 10th, and you come from 22nd to 10th, which he's done, by the way. He was 22nd on the first lap of the last two races. If you're Zach Osborne and you come from stuck in the gate to 5th, if you're Adam Cianciarulo, who's been leading a lot of laps lately, Joey Savacci had an amazing start, and he hung tough. They didn't eat him up or anything like that. He ran the pace. There are so many guys that are capable of doing it. Barcia's won a race this year. If you have shown already that you have the speed to do it, I'm starting to wonder, is the only difference, not your actual speed or your fitness or your motorcycle, is the only difference that when the time comes to get it done, that the riders who have done it the most lately are the most relaxed in that position? You know, Webb, the whole race was fighting for a podium. The start got messed up because Savacci got such a good start. Webb didn't know what to do in the first turn. He was planning on hooking inside, like the old Ryan Dungey move, but Savacci was in his way, and then he got on the brakes, and then he got bumped around, then he made a mistake, he was way back. And at that point, Webb was just looking for a podium. He wasn't even thinking about the race win. But the whole race, he expected to be on the podium. Being on the podium didn't freak him out, didn't add any anxiety. I wonder for the other riders who haven't been there lately or have had bad races as of late and they're trying to do maybe a little too much to try to make it happen. I wonder if that tiny little bit, the tiny difference between if you're Roczen, Tomac, and Webb and you're leading a race or you're in second or third, you're completely, totally comfortable there. That's totally normal to you. And for the other riders, maybe it's not quite as normal to be in that situation. And maybe that little difference, I'm not saying that they're getting arm pump or hyperventilating, just that little difference that they're thinking about, oh, is this going to work? Do I belong here? Is someone going to catch me? What do I do? Maybe that's the slight difference, because I cannot say that if there's only 10 seconds between riders at the end of 20 minutes that they can't ride fast enough. They're basically going the same speed. Something to think about. Or maybe the law of averages just says that riders like Osborne and Musquin finally get the start that they should have gotten the last couple of weeks, and it works out for them. That's just my hope, that we still get close racing, because the data is showing that 3 riders are getting away. Now on to another theory, and this one will probably be argued much heavier. When I was at the stadium watching from the press box on Saturday, it sure looked like Christian Craig just did a hockey hip check or tackled Jett Lawrence in a desperation move to hold on to second. But I was seeing them from behind the riders. Now that I've reviewed the footage from the front, it's pretty obvious that that wasn't an intentional dirty move from Craig. So I'm going to give you my theory on that, and I'm sure you're fine with it, because everybody's cool with arguing about block passing on the internet, right? No, they're not. It's like, it'd be like arguing politics and religion. I mean, we all know, never bring up politics or religion on the internet, because people are never going to agree. Like that, we were all raised, don't argue politics and religion. We don't argue politics on the internet, do we? I put a whole video together, how to argue block passing. You can look it up. Literally type it in. You'll find it. You can't win that argument. Fans will tell you that Bob Hanna would have taken out his own mother to win a race, and that's awesome. Fans will tell you Jeremy McGrath won 72 races, the most ever, without ever block passing or running into anyone. That's the way you should do it. When you have two polar opposites like that, no one's going to agree. There's still probably people super mad at Craig right now. I'm going to wade in these waters. You're going to tear me up in the comments. You're watching this video because I named it Close Racing and Crashes. So now you're watching and you're going to get mad over the fact that I don't think Craig intended to knock Jett down or himself. He came up short on the last jump of that rhythm. That got him off kilter. And then Jett, oddly, was on the outside, but trying to get to the inside. He was actually, I guess, trying to pin Craig down. I don't know. They ran into each other and they locked bars, and that's why Craig just didn't turn. I think he wanted to turn. He wanted to stop. He couldn't because they ran into each other. This all happened in the course of like 2 seconds. So it's hard to script it perfectly and plan it perfectly. It's just a series of unfortunate events that led to Craig hitting the tough blocks and going down. Now, it's on Craig because he got caught. It's on Craig that he messed up at the beginning of the rhythm lane, and that allowed Jett to get there. But at that point, it's just offense against defense. Jett's trying to guess what Craig's going to do. Craig's trying to guess what Lawrence is going to do, and they came together. I almost lashed out on the Craig move on Twitter. I'm glad I didn't really comment until I went back and watched it from a different angle. It was different than what I saw from behind them in the press box. You probably now either agree with me or disagree, because that's how the internet works. Let's just save those arguments for block passes, because again, we would never do this on more heady topics like politics or religion. We don't argue about that on the internet, do we? No, we've tried to get controversy going in other ways. Craig and Colt Nichols were tied in points coming in. Their teammates, Craig, I don't remember if it was after qualifying or after the heat race. He said, I know my teammates' strengths and weaknesses. I've got to take advantage of that. And then he was asked, well, what are those weaknesses? And he said, I think I'm a better sprinter than Colt. And then DMXS Radio's David Iser in the post-race press conference tried to stir that up and said, Colt, did you hear that your teammate said that he thinks he can sprint better than you? And Colt said, yeah, that's actually a weakness of mine. I sometimes take too many laps to get going.
Did you hear that? And did you? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I didn't hear that one. But I mean, yeah, I mean, at times I've struggled to kind of get going a little bit.
So he wasn't even mad. And then Eli Tomac lost the race. He finished second. A race he was leading and he fell. And normally you get that stare from Tomac, that super angry stare. He said it was one of the best races of his career, or the best race of his career, even though he finished second, because it was so fun to battle Ken like that. He crashed out of the lead and then got passed while in the lead, and he loved it.
It's just fun in our class right now because it's good racing that way. It was just like, you know, with the way the passes went down, you know, and yeah, I'm kicking myself on the outside on the sweep return. It's one thing I'll learn from the race, but just good racing. Like, that's the stuff you live for is that type of racing.
When Jett Lawrence, it looked like he got taken out by Craig when he was interviewed. He didn't blame Craig. He wasn't even upset with Craig. Kumbaya. Now, I don't know if that's going to change as the series goes on and, you know, riders get more frustrated with their positions or the points become closer and things get more tense. Maybe. But it's just interesting that the riders aren't taking the bait right now. Or maybe you just got to watch the replay and realize it wasn't as bad as you thought. And you can argue the rest in the comments. Or just bask in the aura of Tuesday night Supercross, which is awesome. Or get a Honda Talon and go drive that. I mean, it would be very, very difficult to not have a good time in that machine. It reminds me of the old Dave Chappelle skit where you've never seen someone riding a jet ski and be sad. Can't be done. Same thing with a Honda Talon. We'll see you after the races Tuesday night.